Hello everyone, it's me again, and today I'm gonna have to talk about Sailor Moon again. Now, here's now to give a little background story. I've been interested into Sailor Moon from at the very least 7 months ago. 7 months ago, I started my journey in watching the entirety of Sailor Moon from the 90s era all the way to the Cosmos movie of the Crystal slash manga era. And that's literally the extent that you can watch this. And no, the live actions do not count. Yeah, I know that there are some people out there who like the live action stuff, but I don't. I don't, okay? I mean, my masculinity cannot handle that shit. This might sound like a toxic masculinity, but yeah, I just don't think that it's a silly move at all. Unless it's a good one, who knows? I might change my mind one day and start watching the live action stuff. But enough about this. Basically, what you can watch, or what you can do for Sailor Moon is so limited. Like, you've got the 90s era with all of its seasons and all of its movies, plus that one goddamn Sailor Moon R special, which I have just watched it today on the big screen. And Ami's Shitfest. I'll call that movie Ami's Shitfest because it was a real shitfest to find who the fuck is Mercurius. Why the hell did he send her that love letter? Lol. But yeah, that's been also a thing. Like, you've got the 90s era with its, like, I wouldn't call it limited because each season contains like a whole package of episodes that will keep you so busy from watching the movies. The movies are completely filler style stuff. Like, if you watch at least a little bit of Sailor Moon or the Sailor Moon S and Sailor Moon Super S, I think you would be good enough to watch the filler movies. And then you've got the Crystal slash manga era, where basically you've got Crystal 1, 2, and 3, two internal movies, and a two-parted Sailor Moon Cosmos movie. And on the very unfortunate, that's it. Like, you've got a lot of stuff packed in. A recent new English dub version for Sailor Moon Cosmos. It was still good. There were some minor nitpicks here and there. Like, one, no one has ever tried to like make a localization to any of the songs. Not even Nagaboro Shihei, with its BTS idol styled version, had even got a little bit of translation. Oh well, it is how it is. As for the video games of Sailor Moon, however, boy, you have no idea how much we need a new Sailor Moon game. I'm being serious. Like, even some new patches to any of the other games we have. I mean, come on, Sailor Moon R for the Game Boy hasn't been fan translated yet. Alright. I'm gonna talk about each of these games and what I think was probably the worst of them all. Alright. First up, there's the Sailor Moon Game Boy game. Now, the Sailor Moon Game Boy game has a little bit of similarity towards at least a few episodes of the original Sailor Moon. But boy, where's it so primitive? Like, for one, the rendition of Moonlight Densetsu wasn't that bad. But then you've got most of the dialogues that are clearly making you feel like that you're a little bit inside the first episode. Like, you've got to do some backtracking and talking, and while you're free, you can play a little bit of Sailor V shooting an entire hamburger. I'm not even joking. You're shooting an entire hamburger in a Sailor V minigame that would look as literally primitive as it can ever be, as close as it can ever be to an Atari game. Like, come on, man. Come on, Motoki. Where the fuck is the original Sailor V game? Where Usagi rages about it all the time. God damn it, Motoki. Your arcade shop sucks. Anyways. Then you talk to Luna usually. And when you arrive at the Osa P shop, the episode begins. And that's, unfortunately, where the good points end. For one, you got a kick that is not so good with its range. And if you really want to have a decent time, you gotta literally kneel down to have Sailor Moon cry. Yeah, crying is a mechanic in the fucking game, so they can break some, walls. I guess the devs of this only game had really made use of Usagi's supersonic wave on making the ear rape so bad that it breaks the walls. Eventually you're gonna find a power-up that activates your Tiara mode. And unfortunately, it's not that good. Why? Because if you are hit 3 times, you're gonna lose that tiara. Then you're back into your kid mode, which is so badly useless. And boy, don't even get me started about one of the NPCs being a cursed Luna, a completely cursed Luna in one of the levels. It doesn't include all of the episodes of the original show, but it was decent. Then you've got the musics. Damn. Like, Moonlight Densetsu plays for a good amount of time, and then when you start up the game, the music's just stop being good. It is just that bad. Meanwhile, I've got Sailor Moon on a video game, and it hasn't even been translated. But from the looks of it, it's basically you shoot some goddamn different types of projectiles. Usagi was her tiara, Mako was her thunder, Rei was her fire soul, Ami was her bubble spray, and Minako was her crescental beam. Pretty basic at the time, but really, that game should be fan translated, yo. Like, that's the only game that I haven't played. And from the sprite sheets that I've looked up online, it's got a lot of interaction. I mean, it's Sailor Moon R, we've got Wiseman, Mamoru, Chibiusa nagging you sometimes. And then you've got the arcade beat 'em up. Let me tell you, as much as I appreciate the sprites, the voice work and most of the animations that come when you do a Golden Axe style special. What I do not appreciate is how awfully difficult this is. Like the first boss from there is Castor and Pistor, or whatever the fuck that other monster's name was. And they simply just electrocute you at every corner and jump around. So you can't even hit them properly. And boy, I know this might come from me as a guy who can't play beat 'em ups that well, but it's horrible. It's just horribly difficult. And not only that, but there were, and I'm not even exaggerating, there were a lot of cut content from that arcade game. I'm not even joking. That arcade game had so many good sprite works. So many sprite works for some good stuff, you know? Like sprite works for the Golden Axe style specials, sprite works for the conversation. I mean, come on, the conversation was the one that had it all. Like, holy fuck. And then you got the music. Can you guess? Moonlight Densetsu is in there? Nope. Not even Automino Policy. Not even Heart Moving at the Yumeno Naka is gonna be there. No. And not even any of Takanori Arisawa's music work from the show is present. Like, that game is just terrible. I'm telling you, it's terrible. And I have seen the true ending where you do not use a continue and you do not lose. And simply put, it's just a credits roll. Yeah. The game had a very hard time with its cut content and the conversations and everything. Like, this game had a potential. Some people think that the SNES and the Mega Drive version or Genesis version are ports from the arcade, but no, they're not. They're completely different games. The SNES version, simply put, is like as it's a little bit closer to the anime. As for the Genesis, it sure has some stuff close to the anime. They both have Moonlight Densetsu play though, but no heart moving or anything, which is kind of a bummer. But the cool thing, but personally for me, I like the Genesis version. Why? Because even on its hard difficulty, it's much more tolerable to play. And you can infinite, and I don't even joke, you can infinite combo every single villain in the entire game with a few presses of a button. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that none of our classic beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage or Final Fight have this kind of option. Simply put, you have a frame where you can infinite combo everyone. Even as Usagi, you can infinite combo those motherfuckers. Seriously, every single enemy. Just keep stonewalking them in that infinite loop. God, it's so satisfying. But I know I've said before that I'm a fan of Mako, but unfortunately for that Genesis version, she's kind of bad. And I mean bad in a bad way, you know? I mean, sure, she got the Supreme Thunder and a secret command move of a ground hitting move, but and then you got a command grab. That's cool and all, but uh, her combo frames, yeah, it just sucks. Then you've got Minako and her whip, and that shit existed in both the SNES and the Mega Drive game. It's kind of crazy. Like Minako was secretly a fan of Castlevania or some shit. With all that love me chaining around. Yep. She's close enough to be a best girl. Oh, and you've got it. And she's got a command grab. An SBD. Even that Shoryu kid will be impressed if he's ever saw it. No joke. A command grab that can hit an enemy from a ridiculous range. As close enough as it can ever get to be Mars from Melee. I have got a lot to talk about these games, but in long story short, they do not represent the arcade, but at the same time, they are two different games. So yeah, it is how it is. Like I said, the Genesis version is the greater version. But unfortunately, that was the only Sailor Moon game for the Sega Genesis. The only Sailor Moon game. Not even Sailor Moon R, not even the fighting game of Sailor Moon Super, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Yeah, none of that. None of that on the Sega Genesis, unfortunately. Meanwhile, you've got the SNES version. You can kinda infinite, but the enemies are gonna circle around you like crazy in the hard difficulty. And yeah, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And there aren't even any secret commands. And there isn't even a button where I can do the extra joy attack with one button. No. You gotta do it like an arcade game. Which is kind of bad. But is there one thing that they share that I hate the most? Is an enemy who keeps jumping like fucking crazy and sliding around, making you want to smash that controller up in the screen, whether it's a Genesis or a Super Famicom controller. Damn. Like in the Genesis game, it's a fat ass snow motherfucker who keeps bouncing, sliding, and jumping around. In the Super Famicom game, it's some circus skinny guy who does the same shit. Damn. Pisses me off. Meanwhile, you've got Sailor Moon R for the SNES. It is much harder. It is much harder in the difficulty department. And no, you cannot infinite people at that. How are we supposed to cheese the bosses out? I don't know. And I don't think there will be a cheesing boss mechanic. Because I mean, the Genesis you got the infinite. In the SNES you got Minako. While Sailor Moon R, all of that have been removed. Kinda crazy if you ask me. Then you got the Sailor Moon Super Fighting game. And simply put, it is a decent game at best. Like, sure, it's kinda janky, like really janky. And most of the music is pretty damn lame. But overall, it's a decent game. It's a shame that it didn't get fully translated, you know? Like, I kinda wanna see that game get fully translated. This and the vanilla Super S version. Because there is that one ROM hack game of the Super S version of that. And it simply adds a lot of cheesiness into the game. Where Usagi gets some weird twirling move when you charge down and then press up like a somersault charge motion. Like, it's not bad, but like, the game is not bad, but it could have been better. And man, man, is it a pain in the ass and the hard difficulty. Especially when you go up against motherfucking Haruka. Yeah, they were right. Haruka is the Akuma in that game. You want to get that sweet ending? Well, no, you won't. Haruka's gonna beat your ass. And not even with a world shaking. No, no, no. World shaking is an old shit. Not even a sword, not even a space sword blaster is gonna save you. Oh, no, 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 no. She's gonna defeat you by simply command grabbing. And once she has enough health, she's gonna beat your ass with a super. That ends with a command grab. That Shoryu kid will also be impressed by this factor. As he's gonna smash his computer and mic. Oh man. But I mean, to tell you the truth, it's more tolerable than playing against the SNK bosses. The SNK bosses are just that bad, yo. And don't even get me started about the difficulty in Capcom Generation 1. I mean 5. Like, off topic, this is gonna be off topic. But if you really want to get the CPU battle, you're gonna have to make your way through arcade mode. And thank God it is gonna be in any kind of difficulty. But even in the easiest difficulty, Bison is a bitch. He's literally kicking my ass, bro. And yeah, some people would say you just suck at fighting games. Well, that's true. I've gotten very rusty at fighting games. Back to Sailor Moon. Then we have got another game, which I expect its second episode will include pretty much everything. It's called Sailor Moon Another Story. It's an RPG game with pretty much a lot of grinding and lots of crazy stuff around it, you know? Like it has villains from Sailor Moon R all the way to Sailor Moon S. You know? No, from the original Sailor Moon all the way to Sailor Moon S. We've got Beryl, Soichi, Mistress Nine, the Ayakashi sisters, and the Deathbusters. Yes, even Kaori Knight. You can even fight Kaori Knight and the rest of the Deathbusters. And of course some other bosses in the middle. I would say it is probably one of the good Sailor Moon games. It is one of the good Sailor Moon games of all time. Meanwhile, if I would expect what the second episode of Sailor Moon Another Story would be, I would expect that it would go from Super S all the way till the end of Sailor Stars and the two movies. I'm not even kidding. So you would basically get the Starlights in the second episode. The Starlights, the entire Sailor Squad, and for the villains, you'll get Nehelenia and the Amazon Trio along with the Amazonas Quartet. And you get Sailor Galaxia and the amount of anime mates and the fakes that you're gonna have to fight. Yeah. Then you get Fury and good old Snow Kaguya and Dabian. Those from those two movies will be there if there is a Sailor Moon Another Story too. That's what I would expect. It's not happening anytime soon, but who knows? It might even happen as a fan game first before it becomes an official thing. That's how it will go. Talking for like 26 minutes, huh? It's been a long time since I've talked. Meanwhile, you've got the worst Sailor Moon game to ever exist. And to its irony, it wasn't even Japan only. Oh no, it was in Italian. Yes, an Italian Sailor Moon game called La Luna Splend. And what's that? It's a piece of shit garbage of puzzle and platforming game. You jump, you only have a shooting attack, no kits, nothing. And your jump looks a bit closer to what it feels like to jump in Virtual Fighter. Like, I swear to God. It's terrible. The only good point about this game is that when you select one of the sailors after you skip through the entire intro cutscene, you get their transformation sequence in an FMV on your DS screen. And that's literally the only good thing about it. The only good thing. I'm not even joking. It is by far the worst Sailor Moon game ever. Avoid it. Just avoid it at all costs. You would be better off playing the SNES version of Sailor Moon than that shit. Then you have got the Sailor Moon Super for the Game Gear. It is a little bit more basic, but at the same time, it's not bad. It's a platformer action adventure game where you go through the levels, a series of levels, collecting the 3 talismans in each level. And after that, you transform to Super Sailor Moon, fight off a bunch of people, and take down the Death Busters one by one until you reach Kaori Knight, which is the final boss. And eventually, Soichi would be like, ha ha ha, you have defeated me, Sailor Moon, but I'm gonna get that fucking grail off your hands later on. Yeah. And we haven't heard of him since then. You know what I'm saying? There are like 2 modes for that game. Usagi mode and a Chibiusa mode. And Chibiusa does not look like how she is from the anime. Like, in all honesty, she doesn't look that good. It's like they have spilled in some oil all over her. I'm just kidding. But seriously, the dress is a little bit yellow. And its ending is all like, well done, kid, but let me take care of this. So you have to play the Usagi mode. And the game is fairly easy. Like, it's fairly easy. Like, once you get ahead, like, you might even be able to clear it on the first try. So you don't really have to, suffer a lot. Then you've got a Sailor Moon related game, which is, oh my god, the worst, and I mean the worst, of all Sailor Moon related games. It is called something Nakayushi. It's a game that brings you into the worlds of a few Nakayushi mangas, and the final world is Sailor Moon's world. It looks like a decent game and all, but I have a lot of complaints about it. Number one, the main character is animating its face while everyone, and I mean everyone, everyone is animated by the player's face when they talk. The player is simply speaking over all of them. Like, I've seen better dialogues in motherfucking Ninja Gaiden or any other game, but like, come on, man. Come on, man. Then, you've got it to be one of the most ridiculous grinding games. And if that wasn't enough, the combat system is the tip or the icing of the cake. Why? The fucking devs of this game had literally, and I mean completely literally, took the meaning of RNG and face pasted it into the combat system. Simply put, you attack or you do anything by a fucking slot machine. A fucking slot machine as your combat system. I'm sorry, but what the fuck? And like, come on, Final Fantasy with its ridiculous goddamn turn-based combat is much more fun than that. Like, come on, a slot machine? Why? Why? Why in all God's name did they make that a thing? Seriously. Like, Final Fantasy did a better combat system where you can choose what the fuck you can do, but a slot machine as the entire combat? Why? Seriously, it's horrible. That's literally the only reason why I hate this game so much. Then you've got another Nakayushi related game, but on the Super Famicom. I would say it's a lot more tolerable than playing that as a Nakayushi game on the NES. Simply put, it's awful. It's fucking awful. And then you've got the Sega Pico games. A little background. Sega Pico is like an educational console where instead of a cartridge, it's something of a book. And it's something closer to a gaming tablet with a pen, you know? And Sailor Moon got 3 of those on the Sega Pico. One for Sailor Moon Super, one for Sailor Moon Super S, and Sailor Stars. My god. Like literally every single season of Sailor Moon got at least 1 or 2 games on every system except for Sailor Stars. My god, Sailor Stars have been done so dirty. And I'm not even exaggerating. It only has 2 fucking games. That's right, 2 games. One on the Sega Pico and one on the SNES. And on the one on the SNES, a fighting game? Nope. Is it an action adventure platforming game? Nope. Is it a beat 'em up? Nope. It's a terrible puzzle game. Yes, it's a terrible puzzle game. like Eternal Sailor Moon and the Starlights are fighting it out on a fucking puzzle game. Just why? And it's not just any puzzle game, it's a balloon popping puzzle game. Good lord. How the mighty have fallen. Sailor Stars, which is possibly the best season of the entire fucking franchise, had been done so dirty in the games department. Like it's so ironic. Meanwhile, you've got a video game that is based upon the Sailor Moon DIC dub. Yes, the DIC dub has its own game. And boy was it bad. I haven't played it, and I'm not planning on playing it, but good lord, just good lord. For one, it is supposedly 3D, and two, like it has some really dumb minigames. Really dumb and really bad. And number two, they don't even have any of the voices from the DIC cast to voice over anyone. Like no Tracy Moore or what was that other one again? Fuck, I can't even remember. Not even any of the other, not even any of the freaking DIC cast is voicing any of the Senshis. Not even the original narrator or Luna, British Luna. Not even British Luna is voicing that one. And that's just what the fuck. Like, here's the thing. For the DIC dub, I don't mind the voices. I don't mind at all, okay? And I don't mind the jokes, and I don't mind the censorship. But what I do mind is the music changes. The music changes, many of the soundtracks. Like, there are even some vocal soundtracks I know, but unfortunately, I'm just that biased towards Japanese one. Like, sure, there are some bangers like Rainy Day Man or Carry On, but unfortunately, it isn't gonna be as a banger as the Japanese era one. That's just my take on the dub. And for the Cloverway dub, I would say it's good. Like hot take, but I like Linda Ballantyne's performance as Usagi. Or should I say Serena? Yeah. Like, basically, I like Linda Ballantyne's voice in that. And the others, well, surely I would find it funny. But yeah, I don't mind the voices. The music changes are just what pisses me off. That's all. Meanwhile, after all of that, it basically said that the Sailor Moon franchise really needs a new video game. Like, the series has been done so dirty by the limited amount of games that it had. Like, even Sailor Moon Drops, before it literally had shut down, it would have been a cool idea, despite the fact that I don't like puzzles. But still, Like, Sailor Moon truly needs a new video game. Something like the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, or a second episode of another story. Which, like I said, it will include Super S all the way to the three movies of Sailor Moon. Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, it's gonna have its own original bosses that will be taken a little bit from the manga era, you know? Like Sailor Moon, another story too. I would say that'll happen before we get a whole new Sailor Moon game. That's the unfortunate fact. Like I can expect that Sailor Moon Another Story 2 would happen before a whole new Sailor Moon game. And even if there is gonna be a new Sailor Moon game, well, it's not gonna be all that satisfying due to one factor. Actually, two factors. The music and the voices. The music has been kind of a thing in all of the other, all of the other older Sailor Moon games. So I'm kinda used to it. And Moonlight Densetsu being the only theme at the title screen. And for the voices, if Mitsuyoshi Kotono is not going to voice Usagi again, then it is not gonna feel like a Sailor Moon game. I mean, we already got a lot of the actresses for every Senshi replaced, but Usagi is definitely the one that needs Kotono's performance. That's just my opinion. Speaking of games, there are two Sailor Moon games which I've completely forgot to talk about. And they are on the PC Engine. So the first one is just Sailor Moon, and it's basically a filler arc that takes place between the end of the first season and the end of, the first part of the Demon Tree Twins. And it's basically resurrecting the Dark Kingdom and their four heavenly kings again. And we're beating up on a guy named Past Wiseman. It is a little bit of a visual novel style game, and I gotta tell you, it's actually fun. It has and not only that, but it has like two overly new tracks that are sang by P-Chips. P-Chips is the band that is formed of the original 5 Senshis with their original 5 actors. That means Mitsuyoshi Kotono, Aya Hikasawa, Michi Tomizawa, Emi Shinohara, may her soul rest in peace, and Rika Fukami all together in one band singing those. How cool is that? The intro and the ending song, both sang by P-Chips. Then you've got another game called Sailor Moon Collection, where it's basically a bunch of mini games that you're gonna have to choose from and you get a little bit of short story videos that is related to whoever's mini games that you have chosen. Ami gets a quiz game. Usagi gets a literal game where she commands you to do some stuff, and you just press a button according to her commands. Then you've got Ray, and it's basically the cursor goes in a sequence between her outfits. For good old for Makoto, her minigame is a butt kind of a butt beating up game where they are like trying to make each other fall off using their butts. And finally, Minako, and her minigame is a Junkin. And I guess it's kind of taking place, and this Sailor Moon collection also takes place from Sailor Moon R kind of thing. Yeah, Sailor Moon R. In the end, again, we need a new Sailor Moon game. Because, I mean, pretty much every franchise at least got one game. Naruto with its horrible disappointment. Dragon Ball Z with its crazy ass Sparking Zero. Bleach with its Rebirth of Soul. Yu Yu Hakusho with its many, and I mean many, fighting games. And there is Fist of the North Star and its several games, especially the game that is made by RGG Studio, which is also the same studio behind the Yakuza franchise, you know? Like every shonen game has got at least a video game based upon it. What about the other Maho Shoujo series that came out that time? Well, I'm happy to say that some of them got some good games, or at least a revival to any of its games. Cardcaptor Sakura got its animated story game, where it's basically a little bit of an action adventure game where you go through a bunch of episodes from Cardcaptor Sakura, which is really awesome, you know? Like, it even has the entire opening, so that's cool, you know? Saint Tail, it's got a pretty terrible, and I mean terrible, video game where its own core gameplay is about the minigames, not even about the stealth. Like, it's not even a Metal Gear Solid style stealth game, because that would have been epic. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Mamie sneaking up on guards and magically killing them, that would be sick. Magic Knight Rares got its pretty fine share of fan-translated RPGs. One on the Saturn, one on the Game Gear, and even one on the Game Boy, and even one of this on the SNES. So yeah, it was pretty nice. QT Honey, however, its only standing game is in the Sega Pico, unfortunately. So, yeah, Sailor Moon desperately needs some of those. Sailor Moon definitely needs enough recognition to have a new game. And if it's an entirely new game, that'll be awesome. An entirely new game in the style of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot would be super awesome. That's just my opinion. Oh man. As again, I guess only existing in our dreams. So make way for another story too, as a fan game before it being official. Yeah. Sailor Moon had a long history in the 90s, with all of its seasons and movies and the many great banger of songs are just giving you a better view of how great it was. Then you've got Sailor Moon Crystal era. Yeah, well, it was good, but not as amazing as its 90s era. I mean, I understand it's in order to make it manga accurate, but it just doesn't feel the same. Like the art style in the first Crystal show, or at least the first two seasons of Crystal, was quite bizarre for some people. I personally don't find it that bad. It surely had its moments, but it is still not that bad. The battles were pretty damn decent for its time. Like, sure, I can understand that it's in order to make it fit in the modern era anime style, but it was not that bad. Season 3, it's where it got pretty damn good. The internal movies were so great, and the Cosmos movie was quite a banger. But again, it had its moments. So overall, Sailor Moon is great. Sailor Moon is great, and I cannot believe that I've been missing out on it during a long time. But there's just one excuse behind it. Is that we were living in a time that it was not allowed for men to do what the other gender would do. Like, if you were caught watching Sailor Moon by a bunch of men or whatsoever, you would have been verbally abused. Yeah. And this kind of thing, unfortunately, still stands. So that's why I cannot own a plushie of any of the Senshis, or even own a manga. Oh well. Let's just hope one day there's a new game, and that new game would literally be worth all of that wait. Like, seriously, I don't want another story too. I want a whole new game. Like Dragon Ball got its game, Bleach got its game, Naruto got its games. I mean, Yu Yu Hakusho with its fair share of fighting games. A lot of series has got their new games. So Sailor Moon truly needs a recognition from Bandai. Yeah, Sailor Moon needs a new game. And honestly, I hate waiting. Like, I really can't wait for another fucking new Sailor Moon game. So yeah, we need a new Sailor Moon game. That's all there is to it. Well, that's gonna be it from me, and I'm gonna see you all later. So you may be wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, it's because I've been trying to get myself back into Sailor Moon. And I've been recently watching the movies of the 90s era, starting from Sailor Moon R, The Promise of the Rose, all the way up to Sailor Moon Super S, The Black Dream Hole. Anyways, that's gonna be it from me, and I'm gonna see you all later on.